Hello everyone, this is Barry from the home team and I'm with Scott Catanzarite from Metropolitan Title. And today we're going to talk about different kinds of real estate fraud and scams that are out there because you see it more than what I see it, but we're seeing it on our team right now in a couple different things. So what are some of the things you're seeing in regards to some of the scams and that are out there?
Well, in our line of work and the things that we do, you hear it all the time. There's just a lot of wire fraud taking place. A lot of you hear stories all the time from all over the country in regard to emails being hacked and wire instructions being sent to the wrong people or incorrect wiring. They're actually correct wiring instructions, but they're not going to the right place.
Not going to the right place.
They're actual
Right.
wiring instructions going to a bank account that just doesn't happen to be to the correct bank account. So that's some of the stuff that's prevalent in our industry as a whole, in our industry being the real estate industry.
Yep. And I was just out on a listing appointment this morning, and we were talking about some of the scams with wire fraud and stuff like that. So one of the things that I've been told happens, we've been lucky. We haven't had one of our clients have this hit, but that doesn't mean other clients from Cressy and Everett or other companies haven't, because they have. But one of the things that happens is that these people hack into an email, like you click on a wrong link or something when you're in an email account at some point, and by clicking on these links, it actually gives them a way to hack into your email account, and they just sit on it. They get in there and then they sit, and it might be 3 months, it might be a year, whatever, and all of a sudden they're looking for certain code words or certain key words, and it might be house sale or something like that, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, like if you're a buyer, you're getting, because if you're a buyer, you're excited, you're out there talking about how you're buying a house and emailing people, and next thing you know, you're getting wiring instructions saying, here's your final numbers, wire the $20,000 to this account or something, and next thing you know, all it's doing is funding somebody in the Grand Caymans or something, So
well, and that's the term that's used is called phishing, and typically what happens, I think one of the surprising things that as you start researching and doing things, because you have to be very proactive about protecting not only yourself, your company, but also the clients and the client's money. I mean, this is a purchase that's an extremely large purchase for most people, and what ends up happening is that as you start doing some research on these things, I think if you watch the news or if you're online looking at articles and things like that, you see a lot of things, credit card fraud or identity theft and things like that. Well, the surprising thing is that when it comes to wire fraud, that is actually the number one most damaging thing in terms of money.
Well, because you're dealing with such big amounts.
Exactly.
I mean, there's people out there, that are buying houses $400,000 cash. I mean, I don't have that kind of money, but some people do. Some people do, and that's a huge chunk of money to all of a sudden be scammed out of.
Right.
So one of the things I know that Metro does is you guys will actually ask whoever it is that's supposed to be wiring money to actually come by and physically pick up the wiring instructions. Well, and it's sad that we've had to revert,
it is very
with all
sad.
the technology stuff, it's sad we've had to revert back to, well, can you come by and pick it up? But
come by, pick it up.
It's really for their own protection, though.
Well, and I think that's the key thing is that, time and again, as you find stories and incidences where these things have taken place, just last spring, and I think it was in Colorado, there was a situation, and it kind of the same story rings true in most of the situations, and that's typically, like you said, somebody sitting on that account waiting for something to happen. And traditionally, what's been found is that a lot of times it's the free mails, is what they call them, your AOLs, your Yahoos, your Gmail accounts that aren't company email addresses, that don't have the same virus protection and firewalls set up to prevent a lot of that stuff from happening. So, you find that those are the things that happen. So
I know on our email that we use, we actually, it is a Gmail account, but we actually use a two-step verification process on email. And if you get into your settings, you can actually set that up on almost all email accounts anymore. You can set up that two-step verification process where you literally have to have your cell phone in front of you, to verify if you're clicking on something wrong, because it'll send you a code.
And I think that's one of the very important things, and one of the reasons why, as a company, we made that decision to no longer email those wiring instructions, and actually having the party that needs to wire us the money come to our office and have that conversation.
It's frustrating, because it's taking time out of your day and stuff. But I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But I've been one of those agents that's like, oh, can't you just email? But I mean, I get it.
But you also don't want to be one of those agents that gets the phone call saying we don't have their money. So, and we don't want to be the title company that has to make that phone call. So. But it is, and I think when you start looking at and piecing everything together, you start to understand, especially with today's day and age where, I mean, most people are doing everything on their cell phone, and the fact that the cell phone is the most unsecure and most vulnerable. And you look at, I think I saw a statistic recently where over the course of the month, 25% of cell phones are compromised or have had an attempted attack on trying to hack in, and you start looking at some of that stuff and you start thinking, I'm going to throw my cell phone away, I'm going to throw my laptop away, and I'm just going to sit in a dark corner somewhere.
Just isn't worth it sometimes. Some of the other stuff that we're running into, and this is actually a couple things that we've actually ran into on our team. So we had a listing in South Bend. It was a bank-owned listing, and it was one where this bank in particular, they rehab their stuff before they put it up on the market. So we don't list a lot of bank-owned stuff, but that's kind of a good one that we like to list for, because they're rehabbing the house and making it nice. Well, what happened is this is a move-in ready house, and somebody put an ad on Craigslist saying that it was for rent. We didn't know about it. We just didn't know about it. So over the span of like 3 days, we went out there and we noticed that somebody had jimmied the locks on the house. And I was like, what the heck? So I got a hold of the contractor to go back out. By the time I saw that somebody had jimmied the locks to the time we got a contractor out there, somebody had actually broken into the house, changed the locks on the house, took my key box off, which cost me $100, and signed somebody to a lease, and the person had actually moved into the house. So now we're in the middle right now. I mean, because that's a scam. That was a fraud. It's not a legitimate lease. However, even though they're squatting on the property, they have tenants' rights. So we're actually having to go through an eviction process to get these people out of there. And what's going to be horrible is that they're going to have to go back in and they're going to have to rehab the house again because, it's probably going to be some damage done to the house. We have another house up in Niles right now that's listed, and it's the same thing. We're trying to get these ads removed off of Craigslist. Luckily, nobody's broke in or anything like that. But we get at least one call a day asking if the house is for rent because they saw an ad on Craigslist. And it's not for rent, but Craigslist is not very receptive to having those ads removed. We can flag them. We flag them all day long, and they won't remove the ads, and that's what's frustrating.
Well, and I think it's in any of these cases, it's always frustrating because there's always a couple of parties that are negatively impacted. And you have people that are just more than willing to take advantage of whatever situation they can, and you find the sophistication. I think a lot of times we like to feel that some of these people that are perpetrating some of these scams are,
if they just use their evil powers for good, instead they could actually make a lot of money in a positive way and in a good way,
but maybe not as easy.
Not as easy probably.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things is that the level of sophistication that goes into any of these scams is kind of breathtaking sometimes.
And a lot of these email scams, like on Craigslist, when you email the people, which we've actually reached out to the people that are scamming, and they send this email back, and they do a really good job of making it sound convincing. It's usually, oh, I'm a pastor and I've had to relocate out of the country or something, and because of that, we've had a hard time trying to sell the house, and because of that, we had to put it up for rent.
Right.
And so people fall for it, and they wouldn't be doing it if people weren't falling for it.
That's true.
So it's crazy.
That's very true.
It's crazy. So any other kind of scam stuff that you're seeing, or we pretty much covered it all?
No, I mean, from our side of things, that really pretty much covers it. I think that you're starting to see, with the volume of real estate and the market the way that it is, you start to see some of these things popping up more and more, and we just have to be very protective of all of our customers and clients and all of their private information.
Yep. So when we ask you to do things a certain way, please listen to us on that. So anyways, this is Barry Skelski from the home team. If you have any questions about any of that stuff, or if you think you're running that house in Niles, give me a call, 574-370-8156, because you're not running that house in Niles. And then if we need to get a hold of you, how do we get a hold of you?
Well, you just call us at the office, Metropolitan Title, at 574-271-2450.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Barry.
Have a great day, everybody.